Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about the full moon in Leo at 16 degrees on February 5th, 2023 at 10:28 a.m. Pacific time. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through each one of the signs. This video is going to be based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I say Aries, I'm talking about Aries rising. And when I refer to the houses, it's based on that. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet, and all you need is your exact time and location of birth, and you can get that information. So here we go. This is the fifth full moon in a row of 7 that is at the 16th degree. The 16th degree for me is significant because it reduces down to the number 7. We are in 2023, which is a 7 year. We are going to have 7 full moons at the 16th degree. The 7 is all about introspection. It's about looking at and evaluating my own spiritual growth, my own dynamic as a soul inhabiting a human experience, or myself as a human, and how am I interpreting my life. But rather than being from an emotional place, the 7 represents the air element. So it's a more intellectual place. The 7 is looking for fairness, for making some sense of something, reasoning with it, seeing where there is balance. So when you look at the natural wheel, we start at Aries and we go around the zodiac and end at Pisces. The lower hemisphere itself is the soul expressing itself, discovering itself, exploring itself through the dynamic of the family, through our communities, our education, our networks, meaning our I'm thinking of Gemini, where I'm in my, with my workmates, my teammates, my schoolmates, and I'm traversing this lower hemisphere before I come in and bring that version of myself into the public eye. Now we add the idea that we have been going through transformational aspects that only happen sometimes every 100 years, sometimes multiple hundreds of years, and in some cases thousands of years. So here we look at this full moon in Leo, where there is an opposition between the sun and the moon, bringing an illumination, bringing an awareness, and in many ways the culmination of a cycle. And this idea that these full moons have been illuminating ourselves. We saw this in October in the Aries energy. Who am I? What am I? How do I express myself? Then we saw it in Taurus. How do I use my skills? How do I make my money? We also had eclipses in 2022 that were on the Taurus Scorpio axis. So there are fated events attached to this dynamic and these moon cycles there during the Taurus season, or it was actually Scorpio season, but it was the Taurus full moon. And then we go to Gemini, etc. And as we come into the Leo energy for this particular full moon, we're going to see a T-square to Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is direct now at 15 degrees, and this is within a 1 degree conjunction. So I believe this is very powerful. This is sort of this illumination with the sun being in Aquarius and the sun wanting to be liberated. Uranus is the natural ruler of Aquarius. So there's a lot of energy that comes with quick movements, innovation, technology, the World Wide Web. Uranus on an emotional level will bring sudden epiphanies and liberations. Now we layer the the Leo energy, where we're talking about the heart, we're talking about our own self-expression out in the world, we're talking about what brings us joy and pleasure, about conception of children, and an opportunity to truly allow this sudden energy to liberate you and to revolutionize your life, a release of maybe some old patterns that you were not actively conscious aware of that were sitting underneath the surface. The other thing that's important to note is that Leo and Taurus are fixed signs, as is Aquarius. So there is a lot of fixed energy here and a tendency to want to defend that position. And I think this is an opportunity where the T-square becomes so tense. This is not about declaring anything to the outside world as much it's allowing, again, the 16th degree, this introspection, this spiritual journey. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Asking yourself some of the bigger questions about, if indeed this fixed energy is still serving you in a way, or is it intermittently and inadvertently tripping you up? Let's jump in and talk about, there's another thing I want to mention. The 16th card in the tarot deck is the Tower card. To me, the Tower represents Uranus, and that in and of itself represents sudden change, release, revelation, a divine disruption, dramatic upheaval. You can imagine the characters are flying out of that tower. It can represent eruptive anger and quick explosive frustration. It is also offering a new level of understanding. Now, Uranus as a planet wants to leave the past behind. It wants to sort of leave tradition behind and create new, innovative experiences that are titillating and exciting and electric. There's a conviction with the Uranus energy to blaze a new trail. So here we're looking at the sun making an opposition to the moon in that T-square to Uranus. The sun, how I'm projecting myself out in the world, how I'm perceived by others, how I've built my reputation, my identity out in the world, in opposition to the moon in Leo. What does my heart want? What's important to me at a deep level that, others may not see readily? And am I willing to be courageous and brave within that what I need from my heart chakra? Because that's where the tension comes in from Uranus. And I want to say this too, because one of the Leo energies that's so important, because Leo rules the zodiac, is to be courageous in following your heart, even if others cannot see your destination or the viability of your journey. And this is why I believe the ancients gave Leo the ruling dynamic, because the lion expresses fortitude, strength, perseverance, courage. And in many ways, when you look at the strength card in the tarot deck, we see a gentle energy that tames the beast. And that gentle energy is Leo learning how to be aware of their energy, aware of their leadership as they express that, not to outshine others, but so that everyone feels that they have a voice. And this is the general energies. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Aries rising, and I'm going to just quickly mention the houses that where this is all happening. So we're going to talk about the sun is going to be in Aquarius, the moon is in Leo, and the T-square in Taurus. So for Aries, the full moon in Leo is in your 5th house. The 5th house of self-expression, the 5th house of hobbies, entertainment, fun, the conception of children, the raising of children in high school, the actor, the performer, the clown. And there is a tendency to default to the dramatic side of Leo. But I believe that Leo gets very dramatic when they're frustrated and they don't feel seen. And so here, Aries, rather than getting frustrated, you get to really look at the because here we have in the 11th house is Aquarius for you. So you have an opportunity to birth yourself in your unique expression, in your ability to be courageous, because Aries is ruled by Mars. Naturally, the hero, the courage, also has courage because you go into and discover new territories. You are the pioneer. You are the fireman. You are, you wear a cape when you're in your high vibration. You rule the military heroes, those that stand in defense and in protection of those that cannot protect themselves. So now we see this energy of Aquarius being your 11th house where the sun is. So now you have an opportunity to project yourself into your social networks. And also Aquarius rules our hopes and our dreams. So one of the little challenging sides about Aries is that Aries can lack follow through. Mars moves very quickly, and sometimes Aries is like, let's move on with it. Now, Taurus is your second house. Uranus is in Taurus. It's just recently moved direct, January 23rd. So now we're seeing this T-square that's giving you an opportunity to be brave, to really liberate yourself from your family history. That's the second house, from any trepidations or fears that you have about your personal skills, but rather looking at it as such that when you assert your personal skills in an endeavor that brings you bounty, you will find people will be drawn to you that resonate with you. And this is where you truly get liberated. This is where I believe this series of full moons, each having a different hue and expression of the self before it brings itself back into the collective to be viewed by others, and to demonstrate leadership that says, if I can do it, you can do it too. It's just a matter of focus. So this full moon in Leo is focused on your 5th house, where the moon is, your 11th house, where the sun is, and then your 2nd house. So your expression of yourself, your willingness to be brave. And let's not forget, Jupiter is going through Aries right now. So there is really an opportunity for expansion, for money to come in, for bounty and resources. So this is really very, very powerful. And those with intentional awareness, intentional thought will see the sudden changes or the dynamics that change and seek the benefit, seek the wisdom, seek the divinity within the disruption. Taurus, the full moon in Leo is happening in your 4th house. That's the house of home. That's the house of your country of origin. It's the house of the mother, of self-care, of nurturing oneself. And it's also where you learned how to nurture yourself. And we have your 10th house, your career sector, the public eye is Aquarius. So here we have the sun in Aquarius at the very top of your chart, where you have expressed yourself in your career, in your public eye. And I want to offer it this way, because you don't necessarily need to be on TV to be in the public eye. You could be, a very involved parent that is, involved with your children and the platform of that, which puts you in the public eye. I think we get to think broader in some ways, because oftentimes we tend to use the same keywords, and these signs, these houses, these planets all have very varying hues and opportunities, both to our challenge and to our opportunity. So here now we have Uranus has been transiting your 1st house, Taurus, your house of self, how you feel about yourself, asking you to rebel a little bit from any sort of fixed energy that may be holding you back, or any sort of family history that has pigeonholed you in a way that doesn't really serve your evolution. So we're seeing this opportunity for you to really take this Leo energy and get creative, and to be a little self-serving And I mean that in a way that when you're self-serving, you're actually going to be serving others as they witness you, follow your heart, trust yourself, and recognize where there have been energies that have held you back. And rather than villainizing those energies, the awareness of them liberates you and allows you to move the story forward. Gemini, this full moon is in your third house. Third house, for you being Leo, rules your so we layer the children, we layer the self-expression, we layer the creative, fun hobbies with your everyday activities, with the natural third house that Gemini rules. So I think what's going on here is an opportunity for you to really think about how you are nurturing yourself, allowing yourself to have fun, because your Aquarius is your ninth house. And I think this is an opportunity to liberate yourself from some beliefs that you've had that have tethered you to dynamics that really have served something else, something bigger than you. And I also think that this full moon is going to sort of stoke the idea of, who am I? What am I? How am I expressing myself? Am I living the life I really dreamed I would live when I was young, or when I was in a more early season of life? Am I giving birth to that idea of myself, or have I somehow defaulted into a routine, something that is rather expected of me versus something I intentionally want? Uranus is your 12th house, and the 12th house is I shouldn't say that. Taurus is your 12th house. Uranus is transiting your 12th house, giving you an opportunity to see where there has been fixed energies that have karmically, repeatedly held you in a pattern that didn't allow for that liberation, didn't allow for that innovation, didn't allow for new levels of understanding of yourself, and how the self-care that you purport actually does serve others. We don't have to. We really get to remember that having 7 full moons at the 16th degree is going to ask me to tap into an inner knowing, to tap into an intuitive knowing, to look at how I'm caring for myself, and to realize that there's a reason why they say, if you're ever in a plane crash, put the oxygen mask on the adult so the adult can save the child. This is very much in play here. And with Taurus being your 12th house, you may inadvertently have repeated patterns of requiring material security and not trusting that inner knowing, not trusting the natural Piscean energy of the 12th house, that your imagination, your creativity can actually create bounty for you. So there's an opportunity here to really have an epiphany, an understanding, and to grow a trust within the universe that you've never had before. Cancer, the full moon in Leo is going to be in your second house. Second house naturally rules money. It rules my self-worth. It rules my possessions. It rules my sense of comfort. It rules interior designers, it rules chefs, and it rules agriculture, sustainable agriculture, being the second house naturally Taurus. Now we superimpose this Leo energy on it, and I feel like this is really going to illuminate a new sense of yourself and what you require to feel loved, nurtured, to feel a sense of home, and to trust your inner knowing. The 8th house is Aquarius for you, and this is an opportunity to transform. The 8th house by nature is a house of deep psychology. It is a house that rules the occult. It rules other people's control over us via money or sex, or inadvertently our control over them. So here, I think that Cancer, you have an opportunity to really, connect with a new conviction, to blaze a new trail of self-care and of nurturing your intuitive body, because your Uranus Taurus is naturally your 11th house. And this is an opportunity where I'm connecting more to your hopes and your dreams. I'm feeling like this is yes, you could birth something of yourself on the internet, but it would be a manifestation or a result of you giving bigger and bigger life to your hopes, your dreams, what you want, and not diminishing them because of how other people will perceive them or if what other people will find value in them. This is very much an interior job, an interior transformation that allows for you to appear to have radical ideas that lead to innovation and to new invention of yourself. Now we go to Leo. This full moon is in your first house. And this very much for me is this I feel like the lion is no longer sleeping tonight, but rather roaring, because it's a time when you want to really birth a version of yourself that is completely individualized. That is something that combines your personal hobbies, talents, your interests, your creative endeavors with something viable. And for me, when I look at Taurus being your 10th house and Uranus there, this is sort of feels like I'm liberating myself from what other people think. I think sometimes because Leo naturally rules the actor, the performer, that the investment in the audience's opinion becomes a paralyzing factor. And here I think that the full moon is illuminating to Leo that if I find what I'm producing interesting, funny, I'm entertained by it, then it will find its natural audience, Uranus. This is this tense moment, because you're going to have to trust the Aquarian dynamic of the 7th house, creating those professional partnerships with those that you cannot see, those that are in the internet somewhere, those that are, still being brought to you through spirit. The idea of trusting in the universe is really an ability to root into your physical experience the divine laws of the universe. And when we think about our ability to understand and to relate to gravity, the only thing between the divine laws and gravity that are different is gravity gives us an immediate, observable experience, whereas the divine laws of ebb and flow, law of attraction, law of allowing, the law of oneness, all require a journey. And this is this series of full moons, 7 of them sequentially, leading us to a new moon in Aries on the world axis. But that's another video. All right, let's go on to our Virgos. This full moon is in your 12th house. The 12th house is a house of introspection, a house of reflection, a house where we spend time alone. It can be challenging sometimes because Virgo, being the 12th house, can very much represent physical health for you. And I think that having Virgo being having the full moon in Leo be in your 12th house, Virgo, this is an opportunity to get creative with herbal medicine, plant medicine, looking at how you nurture your body through the earth element. I also want to say that this, having Uranus in Taurus, may liberate you in some ways from beliefs that have held you back. We are in an age where marketing is inadvertently disempowering the physical experience, and it is in order to sell the product, we want to engage the viewer in something that can happen, and we've gone from it being a potential of something happening to literally marketing with a when this happens to you, when that happens to you. So Virgo, this all feels like it's about your health, about your mental health, about your stress level, about any enslavement you have to thoughts, to processes, to expectations of others and what they want from you. Because as you use this full moon to really take time for yourself, what is important to you? What do you want to experience? And the 12th house rules hospitals and research places, but it also rules, these more spiritual dynamics. And I believe that source energy has put everything on this planet necessary to support the physical experience. So when we look at the sun being in Aquarius in your 6th house of, again, health, this is an access of health. It's an access that allows us to start to elevate from the physical into a spiritual experience that connects us to a universal truth that our bodies and are in alignment with our good health. That is what they reach for. That is their natural balance, your cellular body. And now when you think of Aquarius ruling the circulatory system, ruling the nervous system, and even the legs, the lower legs and the ankles, this is an opportunity to move your story forward as you rewrite the beliefs you have, and you use Uranus's energy to liberate yourself in the sign of Taurus, to trust that earth elements provide what you need versus giving your power up to something else that is maybe not making you feel the full expression of who and what you are. All right, Libra. The full moon in Leo is in your 11th house. That's naturally the house of Aquarius. And then we see that your Aquarius, the sun is in your 5th house. This to me is where the full moon is really illuminating a deep, deep desire to express yourself in the out in the world in a way that maybe you have not been perceived before. I feel like this full moon is really starting to give Libra, and this is again a series of full moons that started in your on your birth month in October and will culminate with the Aries season. So it'll culminate with the Libra full moon. Now, I feel like this is an opportunity to truly transform your sense of self-confidence about what you birth into the world. Again, you know, when we see signs that are social or signs that are partnership oriented, there is a big focus on the out. How do I feel out here? How is it affecting those around me? And now I feel like this full moon is starting to illuminate to Libra that when I care for myself, when I allow for my hopes and dreams, when I realize that true balance is not sitting like this, but rather an ability to be flexible during the ebb and the flow, then I start to really infuse not only my own life experience, but those that experience me, both in the internet, on the World Wide Web, and in the physical experience. They experience me with more harmony, more peace, more understanding of myself and my own needs that actually affords me to be a better partner to you, and when you need your personal time, whatever that may be, or however that may look. Now, I really think for my Libras, this the Uranus is in your 8th house of transformation. I hope I didn't mess up with Virgo, but I want to offer it this way because that transformation is the psychological transformation of putting other people ahead of yourself. It is seeing this Taurus energy of applying yourself actually does serve others, applying your skills, using your voice, expressing yourself, and not boxing yourself into an old story. I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too wrinkly, I'm blah, 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 whatever the story is that has held you back in the past. All right, Scorpio. Leo is your 10th house. Taurus is your 7th house, and Aquarius is your 4th house. So the full moon is in your 10th house of career. The sun is currently in your house of home, your house of the country of origin. It's the house of my intuition, the house of my self-care, the house of nurturing. And I believe this is giving you an opportunity to have a few I think that what this is going to do is give Scorpio a glimpse into a deep psychological anchor, something that might have shackled your feet from moving forward, and your willingness to leave the past behind. Scorpio doesn't necessarily do that very easily, especially being ruled by both Pluto and Mars. You tend to require deep acknowledgement of your own psychological intuitions and knowing. And I think this is an opportunity to blaze a new trail where you don't need validation anymore. Again, this full moon is riddled with fixed energy that makes the T-square to Uranus and Taurus extremely difficult. And this is in your house of partnerships. So this is where Scorpio really gets to ask, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? The 10th house rules the public perception of me. Oftentimes we think of it as authority, government, we think of it as our career sector, but it is where we change public status. So this could be an opportunity that as you become more aware of where your fixed energy has held you in a place that doesn't serve you, where you can take your 4th house Aquarian energy and liberate yourself from a story that is no longer current, you could see a change in your relationship status. And that change could be very beneficial for you, regardless whether it is a disconnection or a connection, meaning you choose to disengage in a relationship or you choose to engage in one. I think it's super powerful. Now, Sagittarius, this full moon in Leo is in your 9th house. Leo being your 9th house is Sagittarius naturally rules the 9th house. So for me, this is really starting to give you faith and expansion and belief in your ability to be courageous and to allow yourself on an interior emotional level to move into a place of believing in yourself and your self-expression, your enjoyment, your fun in a way that you never have before. We're going to see this full moon in Leo is putting Aquarius in your 3rd house. So we're seeing a belief in how you will be perceived by those that occupy that 3rd house, your siblings, your coworkers, your teammates, your neighborhood, your community. The 3rd house rules so much of our everyday lives that you could have a huge 1,000-page book with keywords describing it. So here, when we see Taurus being your 6th house of work and of health, this is an opportunity, I believe, to renovate your work life, renovate your career, liberate yourself from what you may have thought was, again, expected of you. And now the Sagittarian energy of renewed faith and the expansion and the natural curiosity and wanting, the thirst for learning, for new experiences. This to me feels like there becomes an awareness of this, that you're willing to actually leave behind old things that have not or no longer serve you. Maybe old patterns of thought or old patterns of belief or old patterns of habits that you have. It could very well be habits of stress, or it could be habits of eating. With the 6th house, seeing health and having it be Taurus. So I think that this is super, I believe that all of these aspects, challenging or not, are really opportunities for us to be more and more aware of the age of Aquarius as it is birthed, and that our thoughts are things. And if we really think about the 6th house being ruled by Mercury, oftentimes stress comes from the thoughts that are projected out into the future that don't serve us or tell a story where we don't win. And this is an opportunity to liberate from that. Now, again, we have a tense aspect with the T-square, but T for me is transformation. Transformation because I'm willing to be brave. I believe that a square in and of itself is a version of my old imprinted pattern and the evolved version that I'm still trying to root into the physical experience. So there's a little moment there where I'm not sure-footed. All right, Capricorn. Leo is your 8th house of transformation, of other people's money, of a deep psychological imprint of sex. We see Aquarius being your 2nd house of family history, of your self-worth, your confidence. I think this is an opportunity to truly, I have been watching Capricorn go through this Pluto transit with great excitement, because I believe this is where the baby goat is being birthed, where Capricorn starts to, yes, Saturn will always hold my feet to the fire to endure beyond my own personal comfort, but now we are renovating that into into the lane that brings us enjoyment, fulfillment, entertainment, and fun. So Capricorn, I believe that this full moon has an opportunity for you to truly transform and potentially even finances, because here we're seeing your 8th house, which rules money. We are seeing other people's money. So that could be clients. It could be the audience that pays to see you perform. There's also Aquarius is your 2nd house. So as you express your own unique version of you, this sort of independence, it could be radical ideas back in the day, a lot of comedians, Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, they were shock values there, and people gravitated towards their humor because it was so individualistic. So here, because Uranus is transiting your 5th house, your 5th house of creation that naturally is ruled by Leo. So I really think that this is an opportunity for Capricorn to express themselves, to build something of their own creative body, to make money, and this full moon has an opportunity to really illuminate where you have potentially, because you co-rule Aquarius, you've been hanging on old traditions, old stories, history that doesn't serve you. 2nd house Aquarius is a house of history. It's naturally ruled by Taurus. So you have a huge opportunity to conceive and to start to nurture and birth yourself in a whole new way that provides personal enjoyment, personal entertainment, and personal satisfaction. All right, Aquarius, this full moon in Leo is going to be in your 7th house. We will have this opposite, the sun is currently transiting your 1st house. So here we're seeing this illumination of yourself and how you express yourself in cooperative manners, in ways that engage people into your innovative ideas versus potentially just shocking them, and maybe even shocking them in a way that like an electric chair sometimes, because we see Uranus for your 4th house is Taurus, and Uranus is transiting your 4th house. So if you have a story of feeling alien, feeling like you're from another universe, the 4th house naturally rules our homeland. It rules our nurturing, our maternal experience, how we feel. The mother energy nurtured us. Here we see Aquarius, your 1st house, just wanting to be, all you can be, to truly leave the past behind for the future and allow yourself to forge a new and untried, but yet titillating and exciting new path for yourself. And with the 7th house being Aquarius, with Aquarius' 7th house being Leo, there can also be this idea that you may not have initially expressed how important it is for your partner to be on board with your creative ideas, for you to feel a sense of excitement from them about how you are birthing a new version of yourself. And I want to offer it this way, because it may be something that you think is obvious and your partner should know about it, and yet it's not obvious, because Aquarius is so brilliant and so genius and so forward thinking that what appears obvious to you can completely go over someone else's head. So if this full moon does illuminate something that has to do with your romantic life, and I feel like your consciousness and your willingness to communicate in a way that, rather than trying to shock someone into your way of being, I think a cajoling energy could be very beneficial for you now. All right, Pisces, the full moon in Leo is happening in your 6th house, and your Aquarius is your 12th house. So we're seeing this whole opportunity to, when I see Aquarius as your 12th house, I feel like this is where I'm going again to this house of karma, this house of ancestral connection and past connection to past historic times. And this naturally speaks of the freedom fighter, of the liberator, of the revolutionary. And Pisces, this would be a spiritual revolution. And now we look at the full moon in your 6th house. And I feel as if here I'm looking at where I've enslaved myself to the lower dynamics of the Aquarian energy, where I feel alien, I feel exiled, I feel alone, I feel unseen, I feel not connected to others, but more isolated, because I think this is an opportunity for you to liberate yourself from that thought and to really see that it's important, Leo full moon, for your personal self-expression, to always tuck into that mutable energy, that, that twosome that you represent, the two fish together, doesn't always serve you, but sometimes can diminish your power, because Uranus is liberating you in the 3rd house of thought, of what your speech is. And I want to offer it this way, because I could go to siblings, I can go to community, but I feel like this is more about you and the reflective thoughts that you have, the thoughts that, again, feel diminishing. The 12th house is naturally ruled by Pisces and it's Neptune, but here we want to liberate ourselves from the more erosive energies and find the wisdom of being able to identify an imprint and then liberate myself in a way that shows compassion for others, but also includes myself in that compassionate mix. And I think that will really, here the 6th house feels not only like it has to do with your thinking, but it also has to do with liberating you from enslaved thoughts, thoughts that you feel are required of you versus a choice. So this is really very, very exciting times. And in no short order, we're going to see Saturn move into Pisces, and that's really going to change some of the energies that we're feeling. We'll be seeing that happen in March. I'll be doing a video on that. But for now, take advantage of this full moon. And I want to really invite all of you to take the energy of the courageous heart, to look at how the cowardly lion transformed in the Wizard of Oz, because he really always had the courage inside. He just couldn't see it. So for all of my signs, I think this is the theme. And as you surrender to the epiphanies and to the revelations of this full moon, you'll be more empowered to move forward in an intentional way that creates a life that is very reflective of your hopes and dreams being manifested in the physical world. Okay, that's me, Teri Hunter. Please like, please subscribe, please hit that notification bell and comment. I do read your comments and I really appreciate them. I don't always get a chance to respond, but I try to hit the little heart to let you know I saw it. So thanks, everybody. And join me Sunday mornings live 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's where we look at the angels. We get the angels' advice for the transits of the week ahead. All right, everybody. Peace out. Oops.